And the award for the category Most Entertaining Game, Gamescom 2023, goes to Payday 3 Play On!
Amir, come get your award!
Payday is back! Payday is back! Yes! Payday! Yes!
The quality is absolutely astonishing. I've heard people suggest it looks like a Payday 2.5, but trust me, Payday 3 takes the essence of Payday 2, its core concepts, characters, and personality, but in almost every other department, it's absolutely its own game, with virtually every system overhauled and given immense mechanical depth.
Sounds great. Well animated, very intriguing storyline. I have no idea about that yet, but I mean, yes. So I fucking like it, okay? I like it. And I think you're gonna like it too.
And just thank you for supporting us in our journey to get here. It's been a roller coaster, but we made it. We're here. Payday 3 is about to be public in just a few minutes, and I can't put into her words how much that means to me, to us, the developers, the team. It's gonna be incredible. Thank you all so much for taking this journey with us, and let's keep those helmets flying.
Take it easy out there, and we'll see you on the streets of New York.
On September 18th, 2023, Payday 3 launched for those who pre-ordered the silver or gold editions of the game. After a long anticipated wait, players were excited to jump back into the world of Payday with a fresh new experience, especially veterans of the series like myself who have been playing since the very early days of Payday 2. I, like many others, were very excited to experience a fresh coat of paint over the series, especially hot off the heels of 2 betas that gave players a small taste of what's to come. And as soon as September 18th was finally here, we were ready. The wait was over and we could finally get our hands on the game and jump into New York City. For the first 2 days, everything was fine. Well, except everyone on PS5 whose versions of the game weren't up to date with the Xbox and PC counterparts. This resulted in a huge delay for PS5 players, who, keep in mind, had paid the extra money to get their hands on the game early, and also to get some pre-order bonuses, which, as of today, some still haven't been able to claim. After just under a day had gone by, Sony implemented the correct patch, and PS5 players were finally up and running. With that hurdle out of the way, we were off. And to begin with, players were generally enjoying the experience, playing every heist for the first of many times. Although we saw a few cracks in the game, the main complaint being the progression system, which was looking to be changed in the future, we were still having a lot of fun. The game all around was positive for the most part. There were a few small moments of downtime with the servers, but these were far and few between. Things were looking pretty good. Until the global launch. Oh fuck! Oh fuck! No fucking way! What the fuck? I legitimately had like a fucking 10-minute kip. Boys, jump in. It's a friends only, I think. Who's on my friends list? On September 21st, 2023, the game officially launched for PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox and Xbox Game Pass. Coming off the backs of winning 2 awards at Gamescom, players were obviously eager to try out the latest installment in the Payday series. However, all of that hype that was built up not only from the amazing trailers, press coverage from other creators and partners, but also from the early access period of the game where gamers were seeing how the game was before purchasing it for themselves, had completely and utterly deflated. All because of one glaring issue that had us worried months prior to the game's release, in which myself and many other heisters are like, warned other players and Starbreeze about. And with Payday being as big as it is, players jumped on ready to heist. However, instead of players robbing banks, jewelry stores, nightclubs, and armoured trucks, they instead were victims of a robbery, not only of their time, but also of their hard-earned money. Immediately upon launch, the servers went down, and then they were up again. And then they went down again. Then they went up again. Then they went down. Then they went up again. Then they went down. Then they went back up again. And so, a cycle commenced. At this point, the hype train had completely derailed and went flying off the tracks. And so, whilst we waited for the servers to get back up and running again, and if people were still not convinced for whatever reason, let's talk about why players were still and are still concerned about the game being an online-only title. I understand this argument from both sides of the coin when it comes to this topic. Starbreeze lost a lot of money due to pirates using DLC unlockers to play new paid content in Payday 2, as well as just pirating the core game in general. So from a business standpoint, I can understand why the decision to go online only was made, to help reduce the amount of people pirating the game. Put yourself in their shoes. You spend weeks, months, years of your life working on a game, updating it, bringing new content to the game, only for scumbags to swoop in, steal your hard-earned work without paying a single penny. It's demoralizing, especially if it's the way you make a living. And yes, I stand by those choice of words. If your feelings are hurt by that, boo-hoo. Put yourself in their shoes for a second. How about you work hard towards something you are passionate about, only for someone else to steal and take credit without giving anything in return to you? It would suck massively. Unfortunately, it's always the few that ruin things for the many. However, even with this online-only model designed to combat piracy, if there's always one thing you can count on, it's the old saying: pirates will always find their way around stuff. And for Payday 3, they did. As the main servers were down for the people like us who legitimately paid for the game, pirates managed to host their own servers and play the game to themselves, whilst the rest of us who paid for the game were stuck waiting in matchmaking screens. So overall, as much as I hate to say this, but who were the real winners here? Also, the goal and vision of the game was to make it a multi-platform title, to keep every version of the game on the same page and up to date with one another, as console players in the past have been absolutely shafted by the diesel engine not being able to keep up with the amount of content added to the game. They owe it to the console population. So when you look at it from those perspectives, it makes sense as to why they would want to go with this model. However, the global launch of Payday 3 is now an example and highlight as to why the choice to go online only was a very big mistake. Seeing, as mentioned earlier, the game had received awards pre-launch, even people who are completely new to the game would want to give the new one a try and see what all the hype was about. And this was especially the case as the game was made available for Xbox Game Pass, meaning that owners of the servers could jump in and give the game a try. That, combined with the massive PC population and the also very large console community, the servers simply could not manage the giant influx of players. Once again, we warned them about this months in advance. The only feature they needed to keep the players from moving on to other titles was sitting right in front of them. Let's create a hypothetical here. Let's say the game launched with an offline mode. The servers go down. Well, I can still play the game solo whilst we wait for the servers to go back up. Not a huge deal. At least I can still play the game I paid for. Sure, the players will be a bit annoyed if they wanted to play it in a group or play online or play with friends, but that's not the most important thing here. The more important thing is simply playing the game that we paid for. Once again, sure, pirates will always be pirates, but the Payday community is massive, and seeing the numbers at launch was a testament to that, and true fans of the game would have seen what was happening and supported the game regardless. I truly believe that. However, with this one feature missing, it's caused a drop-off of player numbers and review bombs on Steam that I haven't seen since No Man's Sky. But let's put all of that aside. Pretend like it doesn't exist for a minute. What about the game itself? How does it compare to its predecessor Payday 2? Is it any good? And the short answer to that question is yes. Payday 3 is a very good game at its core. The gunplay, the level design, the environments, the sounds, the music, they all hit. and they are an enormous step up from Payday 2. However, now that the weeks have passed, we're starting to see more cracks in the game. The first noticeable annoyance is the progression system. At first, I defended the new leveling system, and in some ways, I still do. I think leveling up through challenges is an interesting way of progressing. Being rewarded for trying out different weapons and going out of your comfort zone is something I commend Starbreeze for doing and approaching. However, as many players, myself included, have pointed out, once you start hitting the higher levels, progression doesn't just slow down for a bit, it comes to a staggering halt. You'll be stuck at a level for hours and hours, scouring the awfully laid out challenge menu, looking at how to progress next and in what order. At its core, the challenge system is still a great idea, but upon further playtime, it becomes way more of an annoyance than a welcome addition. I'm very glad that they are looking into implementing changes to this progression system. I would love to see infamy points given for a completion simply of a heist, depending on what level you play it at. Even if it's a very small amount of infamy points, I'd rather get something for completing a heist, rather than seeing that progression bar staying exactly where it is. The second thing is the lack of content at launch. However, I will defend them on this one before making a U-turn and heavily critique them. Let's talk about the heists, shall we? At launch, we have 8 heists we can play. Each of these heists have a lot of replayability on both loud and stealth, bar road rage of course. The favours you receive at the end of each heist also contribute to that said replayability, offering you new ways of tackling a heist. Now, I've seen the same tired argument from players stating, but Payday 2 has X amount of heists. Yeah, well, Payday's had 10 years worth of updates. Oh well, Payday 2 had more heists at launch. Okay, let's talk about Payday 2's launch for a second then, and make comparisons, seeing as people love to do that. Payday 2 launched with 11 heists. Actually no, let's make that 10, because Jewelry Store and Ukrainian Job use the same heist, just with different objectives. And yes, that means I'm also not counting Bank Heist's alternative contracts either, as they were the same heists, just with different loot in the vault. So yeah, Payday 2 had about 10 heists at launch, that varied in size, length and depth. Take Jewelry Store and Ukrainian Job for example, that can be speedrun in around 30 seconds. Then you have Rats, which was a 3-day job, meaning that you had 3 separate missions and able to beat the heist. Now let's look at Payday 3's levels, all having multiple ways of approaching the levels and objectives with help of previously mentioned favours, and with the heists being a lot more open-ended and varied in terms of your approach to each objective. This isn't me knocking Payday 2 by any stretch of the imagination. Trust me, I played Payday 2 for years and I adore every single heist. Well, nearly every single heist. But I would rather play Payday 3's launch heist than Payday 2's launch heists. Same goes for the weapons. Sure, Payday 2 had a few more weapons at launch, but I argue that most of them felt pretty samey to use, which is what Starbreeze wanted to avoid and succeeded with in Payday 3. Each weapon does feel unique to use in its own right, and in some ways you kind of need to switch up your playstyle to use certain weapons. I hope for the future DLCs and content drops they focus on quality over quantity to avoid the same trap they walked into with Payday 2, where every new weapon they introduced just felt like a reskin of the base game weapons. Now, I did say that I would make a U-turn and critique them heavily when it comes to the lack of content, and I feel this is the most appropriate place to do so, with the customization. The suits and outfits I'm okay with, however, I wish we could change the colours like in Payday 2, and really customise our heister and what it is we want to wear. Same goes for the weapons. Instead of putting a few paint jobs over with a couple patterns, what happened to the really cool weapon patterns and camos from Payday 2? But a real letdown in the customization is the mask customization, which is without a doubt a huge downgrade from Payday 2. While the masks we can choose from are okay, the customization options are sorely lacking compared to Payday 2's options. And to get slightly cooler looking presets is 100 C-stacks. I wouldn't mind this if I could customize these presets, but you can't, so what's the point? Oh yeah, and since we're talking about them, let's look at C-stacks, shall we? I get that they are a long-term currency designed for the players who come back and purchase them weekly, and they reward the long-term players. Once again, I completely understand that. But 50 C-stacks for a magazine? 100 for a preset mask and 500 for a preset weapon? Although I get the intentions and ambitions of what they want with CSAX to be, that it's an alternative currency that rewards the long-term players of the game, some of the pricing on these items are straight up ridiculous. Consider the amount you need to dish out in cash just to get your hands on 10 of them, and having them on a weekly time limit? What is this, a mobile game? It is quite annoying having to wait an entire week just for them to reset. I really hope they implement daily and weekly rewards which give players the opportunity to earn C-stacks in a more fun and creative way, rather than waiting for timers. This would also add to the replayability, as players would come back to the game and complete these daily and weekly challenges. Oh yeah, remember the favours we were talking about earlier? What happened to pre-planning? Pre-planning was one of the most fun additions ever added to Payday 2, giving players variety and switch-ups whenever they play, allowing players to tackle a heist in their own unique way, adding to that heisting fantasy. I get it, they want to streamline it with favours. I don't know, there was something always satisfying about booting up Shadow Raid and planning my perfect stealth approach. I really want to see the pre-planning of Payday 2 return with Payday 3's favours, even if these favours come with a price. I just think that would make the most sense. But all of that being said, I can understand some of these shortcomings, as overall, this is only the beginning. If you're coming at Payday 3 for a lack of content, then you have to be fair and look at Payday 2 at launch as well, as it was no stranger to content droughts either. Put them side by side in their launch states and you'll see very two similar games at their core. As much as you might hate to hear me say that, it's a fact, and as time has told with Payday 2, Overkill and Starbreeze built upon that core, which led them to the position they are in today, with 10 years worth of content drops under their belt, both paid and free content. Yes, free content alongside paid content. Remember the crime fests, the Halloween and Christmas events, the anniversary events? People love to twist the narrative and focus primarily on the avalanche of paid DLCs and expansions for the game without looking at the freebies Overkill has thrown our way as well. So please, let's not bullshit ourselves here and all get riled up for the sake of it. And I can absolutely guarantee 100% that Starbreeze will release free content alongside paid content, just as they did with Payday 2 for Payday 3. Now, before I end this segment and get into my final conclusions and my predictions for Payday 3's future, I wanted to share a poll that I created on my YouTube community. In this poll, I asked, now the storm has settled from all the launch issues, what are people's thoughts on Payday 3? And as expected, a lot of you have come to the agreement that it's most likely a mixed bag. To dive a bit deeper, I invited you guys to comment your genuine thoughts and concerns about the game and your reasoning to put in your answer in the poll. Here are some of your answers. I'm having a break from it right now, since I've gotten a little bored after around 80 hours, but despite everything, I will always maintain that the game has a strong core, and as long as future updates don't mess up that core, I have no problem with returning once new content releases. I really enjoyed the game for what it was, however, there was a lot of problems that dampened my enjoyment of the game. As a whole, I still think positively on the game itself, but I really hope things improve at a more rapid rate than it has been. I'm gonna say whoever stayed after all this shitstorm must really love some aspects of the game, myself included. If they can really survive this situation, get rid of some crazy annoying stuff like the current progression system, and keep pumping out content, I'll gladly invest tons of hours into it. Gameplay wise, it's really good. Content wise, performance wise, and basically everything besides gameplay is either questionable or just outright bad. I still like the game though. That won't change unless they royally screw it up somehow, which given the last couple of weeks, I wouldn't be surprised. I do believe this game does have a future and does have the potential to succeed Payday 2. It just might take longer than it should have. I mean, the game looks great and the stealth is really fun, but the glitches, the progression system, low content and forced multiplayer does hurt the game. It's a good game, but it's hard to just outright enjoy it at the moment. Progression system is my biggest gripe. I suppose the rest are mostly minor things. I like it so far. 200 plus hours sunk in, and now I'm waiting for new content for the most part. So what I gathered from that poll, and from the people's reactions to the game, and from speaking to members in the community, is that Payday 3 at its core has a strong foundation which is set up for the future, which right now is what people are hoping and praying for, and for that future to be a good one. Which leads me to the final question of this video. What is the future for Payday 3? With a launch as shambolic as this out of the way, with the first patch out, and with content coming soon, both paid and free, I can confidently say that the future is looking bright for the game. Honestly, with how shocking this launch was, the only way is really up from here, right? I thoroughly believe that Payday 3 has what it takes to be a worthy successor to the game we know and love, but as Sir Binding wonderfully put it, it might just take a while. And that, my friends, is where the video is going to end. Before I leave though, I just want to thank those who have stuck by me in these dark times, both on YouTube and off of YouTube. This launch almost broke me, with emotions running absolutely rampant. From the excitement of being partnered with Starbreeze to then having that overshadowed by what was a complete disaster of a launch, really left me, well, there's no better way of saying this, but depressed. But I'm looking ahead with a very positive mindset and attitude, with much more fun content already out and planned for the future. And I cannot wait to share what I've got cooking with you lot. I love this community, I love this game, and I just want it to succeed. So rest assured that I'm on your side, and I will do everything in my power to give the game and its developers the tough love that they need in order for the game to succeed. And when they deserve it, yes, I will give them a cheeky kiss on the lips, but only when it is deserved. And we have yet to see any moments where they deserve a lovely kiss from these sloppy lips. And on that note, I hope I can leave you with a bit of a laugh and a chuckle, and I'm out. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you all very, very soon. See ya!